All right, so I'm in Virginia. I'm eating whatever the hell I want. Two of my girlfriends fly me out to California for a weekend party, and it's the Bay Area and the .com years, so this is normal. I get a job offer at a startup. I start the transition process. I move. I just move. Just random spur of the moment. I give my notice. I leave work on a Friday at about 5 p.m. from UUNet, and I drive to Fremont, California, where I arrive at 9 a.m. Monday morning. I get some indoctrination and a badge and take a shower and some stuff, and I'm totally useless. So that happens. We go through several months, just work, life. My health is starting to go downhill in terms of doctor's visits. I get into the ER a couple times. I have a really bad case of flu. Just stuff. While I was in Pennsylvania, I was hospitalized twice with actual pneumonia. So there's that. And this California phase, it's not great. I'm not paying a lot of attention, but I'm getting ready to. Like, I'm noticing things. I am recognizing that some of the food seems fake. And what happens next is that I meet a girl at a gun range in Stockton, and I go up to Davis. So I'm in Davis, California. And I basically move up there. .com fails, goes under. I'm doing that. I have the GI Bill. I'm going to take some classes. And I start getting into health food. Very, very specifically, like organic forage, all sorts of stuff. I start volunteering at the co-op there. I start volunteering in the experimental gardens. The Experimental College of UC Davis has a gardens. I'm volunteering there. I'm doing this stuff. I'm doing power yoga, Ashtanga. And it's interesting. I'm also baking artisan bread. We'll get to that in a moment. It's interesting that I'm doing these yoga classes. And I'm doing the yoga. I've got the muscles. I've got the musculature. So I'm probably putting on a couple pounds of muscle, but I'm riding a bicycle 7 miles each way to and from class in this lady's garage. And I'm doing the Ashtanga a couple days a week. I'm riding the bike to the co-op, and I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm eating very, very well. There is a Jimmy's, something like a Denny's down the street, and we go there about once a week and have something, but it's usually like kielbasa and scrambled eggs. That's like the thing we like, or sausage and eggs, or cheddar omelet. There's no sticky buns. We're not doing a lot of sweets, and everything I am bringing home from the co-op is ingredients to cook, or wheat flour so I can make bread. Like, it's all very healthy. The stuff from the experimental gardens is all fresh fruit, mulberries or whatever, or vegetables like kale. So I'm eating really, really well, and I'm baking bread a couple days a week. I've got my own sourdough cultures. I'm really, really doing the artisan bread. I can take, without measuring my ingredients, I can take the 4 bread ingredients and I can make a fantastic, crusty French baguette. And people are loving this stuff that I'm making. And somewhere in this year, I start becoming a frequent flyer at the VA emergency room. And we're not talking frequent flyer like once every couple of months. We're talking 16 times in a year. Okay. This was a couple years total, and but that was my peak for one of those years. 16 times in a calendar year in the ER. So that's pretty impressive, right? And things are going badly. So I have to make a change, and the change coincides with a move. We move back to Virginia. This is a we at this point in time, and I am in an environment where I'm eating differently. I'm starting to pay attention. I'm starting to wonder and question what's going on. I'm bicycling to work in Virginia, so this is a pretty big deal, bicycle commuting, because it's actually commuting at this place, several miles to work. I'm watching what I eat, and things are starting to go a little bit more smoothly. I get some really good drugs from a doctor, because in addition to the VA, I have no questions asked healthcare from my employer. It's part of the some of the people who started the business are Jewish, and there's just this religious thing about the employees get healthcare no matter what, no limits, just fucking take care of them. So that goes great. And that is absolutely fantastic. And this new set of steroids actually helps me get through things enough that it starts to improve how I'm doing. But I'm slowly gaining weight. Things aren't going quite the way they should be. At this point, I'm reading some things. We do try a phase of Atkins somewhere in here. There's also pregnancy involved, so there's crunchy granola mom stuff. And there's a phase of Atkins, but this is the new Atkins. This is the net carbs Atkins, and it doesn't work for shit. I'm not losing any weight. I'm not getting any better. The only thing that's really improving my health is the fact that there's a new steroid that actually works. It hasn't gotten systemic yet. I have a problem with medications. They get bad really fast. So this is doing okay. I'm enjoying it. Everything's going pretty well. But the Atkins thing isn't working. I'm still slowly gaining weight. And I'm asking myself why. This is my first time where I start a foray into authentic food quality as a measure instead of food quantity. And that takes off really well. That actually makes some very big and significant changes in my life for this short period of time that I'm doing it, because it all comes down to what you can afford, what you can do. And things get really weird shortly after, because we move onto a boat. We live on a boat. We go back to California, Davis, after a while. Okay, we're gone for like a year and a half, 2 years. 2 years. And then we go back, and the next phase really starts. The thing that I picked up with this adventure of going to Virginia, the first baby, back onto the boat, into California on the boat, and then back to Davis, is that there is a significant difference in satiety in how hungry you are based on the quality and the wholeness of the foods you're eating. Okay, you cannot substitute processed food for unprocessed food and have the same results. This hits me hard, and I start looking up some of the information. This is where I start running into ghrelin and leptin and hormone. This is where I first run into hormone effects on weight, nutrition, how your body processes and accepts nutrition, calories, weight gain, weight loss, and endurance, specifically endurance, because that's actually a big thing for me right at that time. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. The thing about Atkins is the original Atkins book talks about a different model or theory. Okay? What it's talking about is an idea that it takes more energy to process and digest fat than you burn, and so there's a deficit. You go on a high fat diet, no carbs, then the body just burns the fat, and you have like a 4% something 400 calorie a day deficit built in just from fat. It's this really weird concept that makes sense based on data at the time, but no understanding of mechanisms. Like as a rule of thumb of pragmatics, you can rely on it. You can say if you eat the way that the 1972 Atkins diet works, you follow it religiously, you can eat this much food and you'll lose weight rapidly. You eat more than that, you'll lose weight slowly. You can kind of rely on this. It's very simple and it works very well. Okay. So moving on from that, now I'm looking at insulin as a fat modifier. Okay, it's not quite what we know now. We now know that insulin is the fat storage hormone, right? We know a lot more than we did in the early, we're talking 2003, 2004 at this point. We know that leptin and ghrelin exist. We know that there's something about these hormones that makes people overeat or want to overeat, or undereat or want to undereat. It makes people feel nausea when they're having food that should be healthy for them, stuff like that. We know that we're starting to understand, and I'm starting to develop this idea of a hormone-based system, mechanism for nutrition, weight loss, endurance. Like it's all starting to come together just a little bit, but we don't know enough, and I don't know nearly enough. Okay. Now remember, we're in, let's see, we're actually in the 2005 time range here, 2005 to 2008. This period that I'm talking about, where we're talking about hormones actually being the driving force. We don't know a whole lot yet. We know way more now than we did then. This has been an explosion of knowledge. Okay. So, coming back, at this point, I'm getting into a martial art, and I'm getting into farming my own food in an urban plot. We're doing some crazy stuff. I'm gathering walnuts from the wild trees, a lot of foraging. Back at the co-op, at one point I worked there. During this phase, I'm pretty much just volunteering there again. So I'm doing my volunteer hours. I'm actually in the meat department now, which is fantastic. I'm helping to make sausage and stuff. And my first foray as a volunteer was actually helping to run, and eventually doing a lot of the demonstration kitchen, so making stuff for people. I'm very inventive and good at making vegetarian-friendly food out of whole ingredients. It's really cool. Just kind of doesn't work for me. So we'll get to that. So we're going through this, foraging, all of the stuff. We're finding food on sale. I'm getting turkeys for 5 cents a pound after Thanksgiving. So we've got a freezer and we fill it up with like 10 turkeys. There's all sorts of stuff going on. I'm doing a really good job. Eventually we're feeding 9 people in 2009. For less than $180 a month, like full cost. We're doing fantastic. I've got everything dialed in. It's all raw ingredients. It's all whole foods. It's all fantastic. I go through a phase, a very strong ketogenic phase here, and I go and I lose a bunch of weight. Okay. I was never seriously fat, but I was pretty hefty. We topped out at like 225 when I was doing the martial arts at the biggest part. And I'm pretty strong, okay? I can do a whole ton of push-ups. I can do just stuff. I'm doing metal work for a living at the time, and there's a lot going on. I am healthy, but I'm pudgy, very pudgy. So there's a 6-month weight loss challenge on the forum that I'm involved with for my metal work, and I own it. I never got the prize, but I completely owned it. I got some kettlebells. I adopted a couple of very basic food rules, and I got to a point where I could do 200 swings with standard kettlebell, and then 100 snatches, and then 50 Hindu squats with no weight, and then go run a mile. And I could do this all consistently, no more than a 1-minute break between exercises. Like, I am doing good. I'm wearing 33-inch jeans that you can actually buy 33s. My stomach is flat. Everything is perfect. Dialed in. I actually did so well in the challenge that things got a little sketchy and people started getting a little negative. But I also got some followers who were like, whoa, swings, salad with portions. Yeah. Never eat unless you sweat. So the basic rule I came up with at the time, a very basic rule that works reliably, was you never put anything in your face other than water or black coffee unless you break a sweat. So this was a universal rule. So if you didn't drink and you didn't eat vegetables, then it still applied. Before you eat your steak, you sweat. All right, I wasn't carnivore at the time. I was actually a keto salad guy. I wasn't doing strict Atkins, but I had ramekins, so 2-ounce containers of toppings for my salad toppings. And it was a case of pick 3 or 4. And it was salami, cheese, bacon, other cheese. That's what it was. It was all protein and fat, no carbs. And then you put it on salad. And the salad is, whatever we're growing or harvesting or foraging. So it's it's basically spinach and arugula most of the time. The arugula grows like rocket. Haha. It's a joke. The rocket weed grows like rocket in Davis, California. So we're just eating tons of it, And that's the salad. And olive oil and vinegar is the only dressing. So that's what I'm eating. I'm also eating cheese omelets, 2 eggs, 2 ounces of cheese, and bacon. And before I put that in my face, anything in my face, I break a sweat. So I do 100 swings, I do 25 push-ups, I do 50 Hindu squats. I have to do some work to eat. Okay? That's just how it goes. And I'm constantly doing sets. Every hour. The other rule is every hour, break a sweat. No matter what you're doing. And I'm sitting at the forge or the grinder or whatever most of the day, unless I'm doing a landscaping job, where the rules don't apply because I'm sweating anyway. But if you're not doing something like that, every hour you have an alarm, you sweat. You spend 5 minutes elevating your heart rate. Or 90 seconds. That's my minimum on the roll. And there's people in the forum who are having fantastic life-changing experiences, but then there's some guys who are going through personal trainer certification programs on the forum, who are talking about how if you swing kettlebells, you'll pull your joints out. And if you do this thing where you sweat every hour, you'll overwork yourself and you'll die. And you'll lose muscle mass. Crazy. Okay. Key points. I'm eating nothing that comes out of a package at this point. You know, it's all meat, frozen meat. There's things besides the salad. Like I'm making chicken wings or roasting turkeys. We make some raw foods. So we'll take some various fruits that are in season. We'll mash them up, put them in the dehydrator at 110 degrees and make raw breakfast bars. There's stuff, okay? It's a whole foods, partly raw, grain-free, moderate carb diet. Okay, it goes through phases. It goes through different parts. So depending on which week or which month, which year it is, this goes on for a couple of years. Sometimes it's a little higher carb, sometimes a little lower carb. The phase of the challenge was definitely low carb, and I got ripped. It was fantastic. I maintained this for quite a while, but then things happened, and we'll talk about that in another chapter. But the end result here is I did still drink. Not a lot, but I did still have some drinks. Usually it's like tequila, straight up, or something. And you would see me in the parking lot doing push-ups between drinks. So I did the whole way through. You do not put anything in your face except water or black coffee unless you break a sweat. Great habit to get into. So at this point, I'm actually not thinking about or worrying about the hormone theory, okay? But I'm not worried about calories in, calories out either. I'm not in any way, shape, or form worried about how much I eat. I'm just following the rules. The rules are to keep your metabolism up. And don't worry about the calories because you're not eating any grains. You're not eating any sugars. There's some sweetness there, but that phase, I'll tell you on average, I was under 60 grams a day. I wasn't really pushing the 20 gram thing, but definitely under 60 grams a day. So low carb, moderate activity, and it was just moderate activity. You know, I wasn't working as hard. I've worked harder, you know, so moderate activity, but it was really, really insanely effective. That continuous activity keeping the metabolic rate up. And it was activity. You know, it doesn't take a lot to do the elevate your heart rate, break a sweat. It's not actually a workout. So that all worked fine. What are the takeaways there? I'm pretty healthy. You know, I do have my ER visits. I do have my ups and downs through the whole phase. I haven't figured everything out yet. You know, I am aware at this point of the guy in Arizona who is doing 6-month retreats. Okay, so he takes people out in the desert for 6 months, and you eat a very plain diet, you drink water, and you do sweat lodges, and you live with nature, and then boom, Gulf War syndrome goes away. And I'm also aware that I can't really do that because at this point there's a couple kids, there's stuff going on. But it works out that I'm doing relatively well. I am at this point, so I'm fully aware of the hormones. I'm fully aware of some of the alternative healing and nutrition philosophies. You know, I'm in Davis. It's everywhere. Kombucha is something we're making in the kitchen sinks. in the bathtubs. The guy GT from GT Kombucha is literally selling it outside the co-op in these jugs. Like you pour out of the jug into your bottle and stuff. So fermented foods, I'm doing some bottling, some brewing, making our own kimchi, making our own sauerkraut. I'm very into all of the nutrition. This is after we lost the battle of organic, but we're dealing with we're trying to do self-certified authentic foods, and it all is piling up. There's a lot of data in there, but I'm not doing a lot that matters in terms of CICO, calories in, calories out, because it's not my focus. It does not matter because I'm not eating any processed food, and I'm outside all the time doing stuff. That's going to be key later on. And we'll move into the next phase next.